Hello, I'm Matthew Hopkinson, and I'm going to give you a quick overview now of our new investor dashboard, which you can see in front of you. So when you log on, depending on your login profile, in this case it thinks I'm Hammerson, then what it will do, it'll pull up the portfolio of properties that I've got here. I can also, of course, go in and search by fund or asset name, and shortly we'll be adding a multitude of other funds and portfolios which are publicly available, so you can peer against your competitors and look at how the market's performing. So on the left hand side here we've got the assets and we've got the names, and I can click through. It's got the number of units, the vacancy, and we're able to sort that. You'll also see a button up here where we can load prospects. So if you're looking to invest or you want to be benchmarked against a specific asset, then what we can do is we can add those in, and then it'll show those prospects as well. You'll also see below here, this says UK retail parks, and then you can see another one down here saying UK shopping centres. And then finally, you can have a certain, if you have certain asset managers or agents working for you, you can see a multiple client manager, and that can be for a specific subset of the data. When we look up here then, what we do is we look at the averages. So we take the shopping centre index, and you can specify the number of shopping centres you want to peer against, and in this instance here it's 13.7% in improving, and the Hammerson portfolio is at 9%. Retail parks, it's at 6.6% and getting worse, as is the GB average getting worse, which is at 7.5%, and high street 11.3%, but they have no high street assets within these nominated funds, so that's no longer applicable. The second thing of interest here is that we have the percentage of units and the number of units. You can see here 63 in this case, and their vacancy duration. So whether it's less than a year, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, more than 3. And obviously this is an interesting number here, and it could be determined by development, but 27% of all the vacant units that they've got there have been vacant for more than 3 years. So that is worth looking into further. Finally then, we are able to track the vacancy, and we go back here to 2011 and compare it against the GB average, and obviously in this case the Hammerson shopping centres or UK retail parks portfolios. And then finally you see a map up here, and if you wanted to click on it, what it would do is it would pull up the specific asset and give you some background information. But if, for example, we follow on by looking at Union Square in Aberdeen, then what it'll do is it will then go into the detail of that particular area, and we start to not only bring in the data we saw before, but we start to bring in additional data such as population, unemployment, weekly average earnings. So we're increasingly starting to do this to look at the economic environment within where a place sits, and we'll start to be shortly overlaying house price, crime and other data, because all of this has a big impact on footfall and therefore performance of an asset. Up at the top here, we're able to add in competitors, and we can do it by a 10-mile radius, and shortly this will be a drive time, and you can increase the radius or decrease it as much as you like. But most importantly here, what it'll do, it'll highlight those, and then if I want to add one in, so for example, if I decide I want to add in Garth D, a retail park, it'll add that into the mix, and then you'll start to see it'll plot where they are, and then it'll redraw all of the vacancy rates, and you can see the different colours relating to each specific location, and you'll see you've got quite a variety of performance. And then finally down the bottom here, it'll look at that persistent vacancy that we looked at before, and you can start to see a couple here, for example St Nicholas Centre and Kitty Brewster, maybe 50%, but it's only 1 out of 2 of the vacant units. So we not only look at percentage but also look at the presence of the units. So it gives you a pretty detailed view of the funds. But if I suddenly thought, okay, well I want to go off to Union Square and look at the details, then what I could do, which you'll have seen in previous demonstrations, is I come to here to the shopping centre, and what it would do, it would go off and I can pull up all the specific details as to the occupiers, and I can see here, can split them out, but I can also look at the detail in terms of the breakdown of comparison, convenience, service, etc., etc. So you can get quite a good view from there. But finishing off then, the investor dashboard really is here to enable you to load assets, funds, portfolios, to analyse them over time. And what we'll also shortly do, we'll be adding in a health index, looking at the locations they sit within, and then when we update them and there's a change in the performance, we'll set up an alert which will immediately tell you if we feel that the location that this asset is in, or indeed the asset, is weakening, strengthening, or has remained the same. But do get in touch. We'd love to talk you through in more detail and also load your assets. Thank you.